Hello and welcome to another Wednesday video where we have a look at the latest dev diary for Project Caesar. And with a little bit of ado, I just want to say, if you would like to keep up to date with everything coming out of Tinto Talks, everything to do with Project Caesar, then hit the subscribe button. You get to stay informed. I get a sub. It's a win-win. If you like what I'm doing here, then click the like button. And if there's anything in this dev diary that you find interesting or something you wish to say, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below. Now, with the ado out of the way and no further of it, let us have a look at today's dev diary. Hello and welcome to another Tinto Talks, the day of the week where we spill information about a top secret game with the codename Project Caesar. Today we'll delve deeply into the world of societal values. Societal values describe the attributes of a country. Different countries start with different societal values, creating a unique and different experience. Please understand that. Please understand that all subject. Okay, this sentence is certainly a sentence. I imagine it says, please understand that societal values are all subject to testing and balancing. So they're not finished. They're not ready. The numbers, they can change. The societal values range from -100 to +100, where -100 value is completely to the left, and +100 is completely to the right of the value. They change slowly over time, primarily influenced by the estate privileges, government reforms, or laws that the country has. However, if you feel that you can't wait for your society to change, you can always have a member of the cabinet focusing on attempting to nudge a societal value to something else in your country. That's cool. I like that. That's pretty cool. So, effective skill of changing the societal values, the cabinet efficiency. We have 50, that's the 50 Diplo skill from King Pere, the Ceremonious de Aragon. We've got royal marriage rights, which is a law. We have your crown power, the chancery, which I believe is a technology. Unspotted accepted cultures and tolerated cultures, lower it a little bit, and then you get 45 Diplo skill. That is what Alphonse Rogier de Loria has. With a total increase of 61.91%, they gain the following effect: progress to capital economy 0.16 per month. So a character with good diplomatic skill is useful for changing societal values. Alright, lovely. There are 13 common societal values that all countries have from the start, and currently one unique one for countries in and around China, which will be talked about in a later Tinto talk. We have another one added in the Age of Absolutism as well. Some of these societal values may recognize the name or the design intent from previous games like EU2 or EU3, but they almost always have different impacts. I did not play this, so I cannot really comment on that, I'm afraid. I know these societal values were in them. I've seen images of them. Of course, they were in the previous Tinto talk. But yeah. Usually when I see these Tinto talks, I would like to make references to games that I've played, and yeah, I just can't do that in this instance. So, centralization versus decentralization. Are we going through all 13 of them? That'd be kind of insane. So a centralized country may be more efficient, while a decentralized country is more resilient. So centralization is dominant, you get more crown power, maximum war exhaustion can be higher, road building time is lower, and counter-espionage is more effective. When decentralization is dominant, maximum war exhaustion is down, distance cost to capital is down. So if you have a very large empire, then maybe decentralization might be a little bit more effective for you. Counter-espionage is less effective, and monthly rebels growth is a little bit slower. That's cool. I like this. Neither of these seem like I need to go in this direction. Clearly, this direction is the best one. This is the meta. Like I don't see that here, which is fantastic. If it didn't have distance cost to capital in there, I would 100% say centralization is all the way the correct one here, but this seems like it's going to be such a important modifier in the game that I really don't think that decentralization can be sniffed at and looked over. But cool. Moving on. Traditionalist versus innovative. A traditionalist country prioritizes stability and tradition over all other values, while an innovative country wants more literate population and faster adoption of any new institution. Traditional countries will have higher state satisfaction, stability will grow faster, and bigger cultural tradition growth, while institutions will be far more costly to embrace. Whereas the innovative country will have a higher maximum literacy, bigger cultural influence growth, cheaper institution growth, but stability will be slower to grow. Um, I have a feeling that I will prefer innovative countries when I am playing, or I would bring my country towards the innovative end of the scale. Um, just as a feeling, as based on these descriptions, but definitely, cultural tradition we learned about recently seems pretty important. Stability growing, it seems very important. But institutions being costly does feel like a pretty harsh cost. Anyway, spiritualist versus humanist. Spiritualist country is pretty much organized around its clergy, while a humanist country is more tolerant towards heretic and heathen religions. Spiritualist country will convert pops faster, increase the amount of clergy in towns and cities, and increase the tolerance of the true faith while reducing the speed of assimilation. Humanist country will assimilate pops faster, increase tolerance of heathens and heretics, but reduce the speed of conversions. This is definitely one of those that is very balanced, I reckon. So, convert pops faster, assimilate pops faster. Which one do you value more? That's certainly interesting. If you're in, the middle of Europe before the Reformation, humanist definitely seems better. But yeah, somewhere on the borders with Islam, then definitely that seems like it might be the play. Who knows? The aristocracy versus plutocracy. Aristocratic country is about having the leadership from those with noble blood, while a plutocratic country takes their leadership from the richest and most powerful. Aristocratic country will increase the amount of diplomats you get, the amount of noble pops in cities, increase the power of the nobility, and the expected cost of the court, whereas a plutocratic country will increase the amount of burghers in the cities, reduce the cost of the court, increase trade efficiency, but dramatically increase the power of the burghers. Again, it seems like a toss-up, which, honestly, that's a good thing. I do feel pretty strongly that they shouldn't be just this is an objectively correct decision. Definitely, it seems like, depending on your country, you might want to go one or the other. Serfdom versus free subjects. A country with high serfdom is about exploiting the peasants as much as possible, whereas a country with free subjects treats peasants as human beings. Good to know. So we have the serfdom versus free subjects here. Current impact is 10 out of 100 towards serfdom, so we get maximum taxes for the peasants' estate at 2%. Peasant food consumption goes up a little bit. Raw materials output goes up. Supply limit goes up. Good to know. And then it's changing based on court language. The yeomanry, which I assume is is one of the technologies, an advance, and then also Magna Carta. So I guess this is in England. Yes, Magna Carta and yeomanry will make England slowly go towards free subjects. Magna Carta, is that going to be a work of art, potentially? Or a unique... Actually, no, I think it's going to be a unique technology and unique advance for England, which they will almost certainly start the game with. All right, so... As you can see, a serfdom-focused country increases possible taxes for peasants, the raw materials they produce, and the supply limit in your country, while it also increases the amount of food your peasants will eat. A country with free subjects, on the other hand, will increase monthly prosperity, makes pops promote faster, reduces the food consumption of the peasants, but reduces the amount of tax you can collect from the peasants as well. Okay. Again, kind of a toss-up. I'll probably go with free subjects, but I don't know. Supply limit, if anyone knows how I play EU4... higher supply limit, something I would very much appreciate. We have belligerent versus conciliatory. Belligerent country is a country that does not worry about the opinion of other countries. Why would the lion care for the opinion of sheep, after all? A conciliatory country appeases others, either due to being weaker or it just believes that it's easier to catch flies with honey. A belligerent country will create casus belli faster, get cheaper war score costs, and faster spy network constructions, but the diplomatic reputation will suffer significantly. A conciliatory country, on the other hand, will increase the efficiency of the cabinet, the loyalty of its subjects, and improve the diplomatic reputation, but casus belli will be far more difficult to create. I feel like on this one, I'm going to kind of flip-flop between them. Belligerent when I want to go for a period of expansion, try and flip it to conciliatory when I'm trying to, assimilate and digest my gains, potentially. It all depends on how fast you can swap over. Like, we do know, for example, that you can send off your cabinet to nudge them to where you want them. But if it does still change slowly over time, then I guess it's not really going to be possible to flip-flop as I was describing. But either way, we have quality versus quantity. An army that focuses on quality is focused on making each soldier perform better, while an army focused on quantity tries to get more people to fight in the battles. A country that leans towards quality will have morale recover faster, get a bonus to military tactics, and have higher initiative, but the maintenance costs will be higher. Whereas a quantity country, they will favor quantity will have a higher possible frontage. This one scares me. Actually, this one very much scares me. Cheaper armies, less food consumed by armies, but the initiative will be worse in battle. Yeah, so high possible frontage scares me, because let's just look at how this modifier works in EU4. Obviously, in a battle between land armies, the frontage, or the combat width, is the same for both countries. Even if you get a technology that increases it, if you fight somebody who doesn't have that technology, they will basically also use that new combat width. However, on the water, with navies, you have naval engagement width, and it is the most important and oppressive modifier that navies can possibly have. Having more boats fighting at the same time is more important than having better boats, more important than having more modifiers on your boats. It's huge. It really is huge. And I worry that E5 will have a somewhat similar problem, where having a high frontage on your military is going to be an oppressively strong modifier. I hope not. I hope that's not going to be the case, but I worry very, very much that it is, especially as, cavalry can still do the flanking thing. So if you have a higher frontage and you have cavalry doing, flanking from either side, I do worry. I do worry about that. So, hopefully that is not going to be quite as scary as I am envisaging. But let's move on to offensive versus defensive. A country that is focused on offense prefers the attack, using their armies and navies in enemy locations, while a defensive country relies more on their forts to defeat the enemy. So, offensive, when it's dominant, you have higher movement speed. Your fort defense goes down massively. Holy. The siege ability goes up a little bit. The assault ability goes up a little bit. Whereas a defensive country, army movement speed goes down, but the fort defense is massively increased. Combat speed is increased. And fortification maintenance is decreased. Yeah, I'm sorry. Whereas a lot of these are like, oh yeah, I can see the benefits of both. For sure. Oh yeah, the benefit of this is fine. The benefit of this is also fine. Here ain't no such thing, right? Fort defense minus 50% versus positive 50% is huge. Absolutely, colossally massive. Defensive, in my opinion, right here, way stronger. Just, I'm going with this every time. My army moves a little bit slower. Oh no. My forts are fine. My combat speed, that's also a great modifier. Determines how fast your guys get from reserves into combat. Force costing less. Defensive is just better. It is just simply better. It is an easy choice. I mean, you've got it in italics, and I don't know if you're being serious about this easy choice, but yes, it is an easy choice. Land versus naval. A country focused on land is usually a country without much of a coastline, while naval-focused one may be one of those that values its coastline more than others. Here we have actively wanted to avoid military-only attributes, as otherwise 99% would always go land. So, a land country will trace proximity quicker over land, trade over land, have larger RGOs, but trade overseas is more expensive, whereas a naval country will trace proximity quicker over water, trade over water, and maritime presence is faster, but trade over land is more expensive. Okay, this is a very... So I think, a lot of trade going over the water is going to be huge, right? If you're a nation with a coastline, especially your the proximity is very, very important, and naval proximity is better than land proximity. However, having larger RGOs, pretty good trade-off. And obviously, if you're a landlocked country, then land versus naval. It's a obvious choice here. For naval countries, though, that is a big trade-off that you're gonna have to kind of make a decision about. Like England's probably gonna go naval, obviously, and Italy probably gonna go naval. But if you've got somewhere like France, France is gonna have a tough time choosing between these two. It really is. Capital economy versus traditional economy. A country with a capital economy is more focused on earning money, particularly from trade in towns and cities, while one with a traditional economy is more oriented around living off what the land provides. Capital economy will have cheaper buildings, lower bank interest rates, and higher production efficiency, while food production is reduced. Traditional country, meanwhile, will produce more raw materials, produce more food, have higher population capacity, but buildings will be more expensive. So I was all in on capital economy, like all of this sounds great, but then higher population capacity for a traditional country? I guess that is higher population capacity in rural locations. Producing more raw materials as well. This is another toss-up. Like, I'm kind of convinced that capital is probably going to be the better one here, but it's certainly going to be a toss-up on that one as well. I suppose it all depends on what kind of situation you start the game in. Like, if I'm playing in Italy, capital economy, 100%, ain't no choices there. But if I play Poland, maybe traditional economy would actually suit me better. Individualism versus communalism. Not communism. It's communalism. A country based on individualism may get more exceptional characters, while one focused on communalism is all about the greater good of society. Individualist countries will have higher morale in its armies and navies, and a far faster migration speed for its pops, but slightly slower estate satisfaction. By slower, I meant lower. Communalist country will have lower satisfaction threshold for pops to join rebels, far cheaper to revoke privileges from the estates, and a slightly higher estate satisfaction, but pops will migrate far slower. Yeah, I feel like this is another one where there is an objectively better option. And I think individualist countries here is just better. Higher morale in the armies, huge. Migration speed for its pops, as long as it's internal migration, huge. And, you know, your estate's being less happy, you can probably work around that. But then a communist country, lower satisfaction threshold, that's actually, that is pretty good, though. They don't have to be as happy. You know, they're not going to join rebels if they're at the same level of satisfaction as an individualist that is getting okay, maybe not. I still feel individualist is a little bit better here, but it is more of a toss-up than I first thought. Anyway, mercantilism versus free trade. Mercantilist countries aim to protect the market price of produced goods in their country, while the country focused on free trade wants to benefit more from trades around the world. So what we have here, when it is dominant, we have trade maintenance minus 10%, trade efficiency goes down a little bit, market protection goes massively up, and export cost from markets goes up. Whereas with free trade, we have trade advantage, which is a modifier I don't think have seen yet. Trade efficiency goes up a tiny bit. This is such a minor number, I don't know. Market protection goes down, and the burger's trade capacity goes hugely up. This is definitely another one of them toss-ups that you're going to have to play the game to determine what you would prefer, because I don't know. We don't know really how market protection is going to work, how much trade the burgers are going to do. We don't know how important is trade efficiency and trade advantage. We're going to have to play the game to determine this one, I think. Outward versus inward. An outward country focuses more on interacting with other countries, while an inward country looks inside its borders. An outward country will have higher power projection, higher diplomatic capacity, and faster migration to colonies, but a lower cultural tradition growth. Whereas an inward country with higher crown power, higher control, faster cultural tradition growth, but the colonial migration will be very slow. I feel like this is basically, are you a colonist? If yes, outward. If no, inward. It's how I'm basically seeing it. I mean, obviously, higher power projection seems like a good thing, but a lot of that is for colonialism. Higher diplomatic capacity to have more allies, have more vassals, but higher crown power, higher control, especially the higher control. Yeah, I don't know. Inward seems pretty strong. Inward seems pretty strong here. Liberalism versus absolutism. A liberal country will emphasize the importance of civic liberties and legislative governing bodies, while an absolutist country will focus more on the centralized authority of its ruler while reining in the power of the different estates. A liberal country will get higher cultural capacity, easier to get through requests in parliament, and its popes are less likely to support rebels, but the impact of a state power from cabinet positions is higher. An absolutist country, on the other hand, will have higher crown power, cheaper to revoke estate privileges, quicker integration, but the expected cost of the court is also higher. I don't know, I feel like absolutist here is pretty good. Because by the time this comes around, because this is one of the Age of Absolutism societal values, I do feel like you're probably going to have enough money, or enough money to handle your cost of your court. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like absolute is probably the play here. As mentioned earlier, the societal value appears from the Age of Absolutism and shapes the last two ages dramatically. Stay tuned as next week we revisit a topic as it has been revised. Yo. This could be anything. This could be anything. Yeah, it's I don't know. Like, if we have a look at the archive, which one of these really needed a little bit of looking at again? A conquest peace system, potentially. I'm kind of hoping that this peace system one was the highest downvoted one, so maybe that's what this next Tinto talk is going to be. Ooh, that's juicy. That's tasty. That is tasty. But anyway. Let me know in the comments what you think it's going to be. I'm curious. Also, let me know in the comments which one of these you're going to be going with. Obviously, we haven't played the game yet. We don't know. But as a first impression, where do you think your country is going to land? I am curious. So, yeah, let me know in the comment section below. As I said at the start of the video, if you, subscribe, it makes me happy. And you get to stay informed. It's a great win. Great win. Breathe. I'm rambling. I'm going to go now. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you on Friday for the Tinto maps of Oceania. It's going to be a good time. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.